This is the material level of reality. This is the material world, the world we live in. And then there is another level of reality which exists beyond this world. This exists in the spiritual level of reality, and that is the spiritual world. And parastasmat pavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yahasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu navinashyati. In 8:20 in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes that when all in this world is perishable, the world around us sometimes manifest, sometimes unmanifest. Right now there's this magnificent building. Maybe a few decades ago, everything that made this building was just some earth and some stones and some mud. And maybe a few decades later, maybe several decades later, everything that made this is going to return to dust. In this world, things are sometimes manifest, sometimes unmanifest. So the material level, we could say, things keep going up and down. There is manifestation, when everything looks very beautiful and magnificent. And then unmanifestation, where everything becomes withdrawn to a relatively shapeless, formless reality. But beyond these undulations, beyond these changes, Krishna says, there is another world. And this is the unchanging spiritual world. So, that is the world where there is constant joy, where there is none of the distress that characterizes this world. That is actually the home of every soul. And from that place, we are presently lost. So we are all longing for something permanent. If you have a temporary house, a rented house, you want a permanent house. If you have a temporary job, you want a permanent job. We long for the permanent because we belong to a permanent place. Our longing points to our belonging. What is our deepest longing? It indicates where is our greatest belonging. So there is this eternal domain where we belong, for which we long. But we often tend to forget that. And therefore, it is from this divine domain that there is a descent. And that descent of the Lord is called as avatar. Avatarati iti avatar. Avatar means that which exists at another level of reality manifests at our present level of reality. So it is not that Krishna, Ram or Sri Chaitanya, they just appeared a few thousand years ago. So some of us may think that, okay, this is the time domain, and say right now we are in 2023. So at a particular time, say 1486, the time when Shri Chaitanya appeared. Or if we go backwards further, we go forward around 2000 BC, 3000 BC, Krishna appeared. So this is the linear view of time. And within this view, we think of these personalities simply as historical personalities. Some people may think that whether it's historical or not, maybe it's just mythological, not even real. However, the Lord is neither historical, He is historical, but He is not just historical. There will be mythology associated with Him, but He is not a myth. Rather, it is that Lord exists eternally. And while He exists eternally, intermittently He descends to this world. So, that Lord exists forever. And that is why the word avatar has a significance. Nowadays, many of you, especially those who are younger, have heard the word avatar. We all have our social media avatars. Maybe on video games or in particular social media applications, people make their own avatars. They take the picture, maybe do some morphing of the picture, and they say, this is my avatar. So the idea of the avatar is, we exist at a particular level, but in that social media environment, in that video game environment, there is existence of a representation of us. There was this whole series of movies, Avatar. One of my friends is one of the creative assistants for this recent movie that came on, The Way of Water. They're saying that to create that virtual reality, it requires a huge amount of effort. But the idea is that there is one reality, that is another domain. And from one domain, there's some kind of transposition to another domain. So avatar means what? That God descends from the spiritual domain to the material domain. And why does he descend? The divine descent is actually meant to inspire the human ascent. The divine descent. God descends from the spiritual domain to the material domain. For what purpose? To inspire the human ascent. Human ascent means to inspire the rising of human consciousness, to perceive higher realities, and then to pursue higher realities. First of all, to perceive, to know that there is something beyond the temporary world. There is something that can give us lasting fulfillment. And once we perceive that, then we pursue that. So that is the purpose of the world. It is to fulfill the purpose of the world that the Lord descends into the world. Just like, say, if we are living in a temporary home, a rented home, then while we are living there, we will broadly have two purposes. One purpose is, we want to move to a permanent home. But while we are living in the temporary home, we also want to make that home as orderly and as comfortable as possible. So that, okay, while I am here, let me be able to live as happily as I can. But then I would like to move to another place, which is my home. So like that, the avatar has two purposes. One is to establish dharma in the world. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya च दुष्कृताम् dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So this Krishna mentions in 4, 7 and 8. So to establish dharma, here dharma doesn't refer to religion, it refers more to order. To establish order in society. To neutralize those who are disrupting society and to empower those who are virtuous. Now that is the outer purpose of the Lord. But there's another purpose. It's like if you are staying in a home, you don't want the home to be a big mess. You want the home to be an orderly place. That's establishing dharma in the world. However, this purpose is contextual. That means the Lord comes at a particular time, establishes dharma, and then he departs. And after some time, by the nature of the world, sakale mahata yogo nashya parantapa. Order is established, but again disorder comes. That is the nature of the world. So there is one purpose which is contextual, and another purpose is universal. And the other is to establish bhakti in the heart. Just like if we are living in a home, we want to make order in the home, but we also want to move to a permanent home. Like that, the Lord wants us to have as peaceful, as orderly as life is possible in this world. But beyond that, He wants us to come home to Him, which is our eternal home. And that will happen when we develop our love for Him. God wants us to be with Him. But to be with Him, we need to love Him more than the things of the world. If Krishna can take us, he wants us to be eternally happy, but happiness is possible with him when there is love. If there is no love, then we may even go to God. We may go to his abode, but there will be asking, what is the stock prizes now? What is the cricket score? Who won the elections? If those are what our interests, or nowadays, what is the latest movie celebrating gossip, or what is this, what is that? If those are our interests, then there's no point in being with the Lord. So it requires a change of the heart. So when our desire for God becomes greater than our desire for the world, then we attain the kingdom of God. And for that, bhakti. Bhakti is both the feeling of devotion for the Lord, and bhakti is also the process by which that feeling is developed. And the Lord comes to establish both. To inspire devotion in our heart and to inspire us to practice the process of devotion. It's the feeling of devotion. So when we hear the Leela of the Lord, when we hear about his various pastimes, how he performs wondrous activities, then we feel attracted to him. And that attraction is a form of devotion. However, this devotion can also be systematically cultivated and developed. So, bhakti can also refer to the process for cultivating that feeling of devotion. Now, broadly speaking, this is the purpose of all avatars. The purpose is to attract our heart towards the Lord. And first to establish us in morality and virtue, and then to inspire devotion. So time and time again the Lord appears. There are some religions which hold that our way is the only way. This particular person, be that particular religion's founder, this is the only teacher you have to follow. If you're not following this, you're going to go to hell. So that is exclusivism. They have the idea that we have exclusive monopoly on God. Like a cricket tournament is going on, some ESPN or say exclusively on ESPN. So like God is exclusively on the channel of one particular religion. Now that is putting limits on the love of God. If God is limited, why should the path to loving him be? But if God is unlimited, why should the path to him be limited? And some people don't just say that, actually, if you don't follow our path, you're going to go to hell. You see? Not only are you going to go to hell, we will help you get there faster. So that is not just exclusivism, that becomes extremism. Exclusivism is more in theory, extremism is more in action. But the Bhagavad Gita in the broad bhakti tradition is not like that. They say that the Lord's love for us is unlimited. And therefore, the Lord does not restrict himself to one way. Sambhavami yuge yuge. He comes again and again. In fact, the Bhagavatam describes that because the Lord's love for us is unlimited, in the almost long, infinite seeming time of the universe, the Lord comes again and again. The number of his descents are as many as the number of waves in an ocean. How many are the waves in an ocean? Countless. Now, countless does not literally mean that they cannot be counted. You can spend our whole life counting and still not get over. The idea is there are no limitations on God's love. God keeps coming again and again and again and again. And in the present age, there are, just like we have seasons. Now, in different parts of the world, seasons will be classified slightly differently. In India, we have summer, rainy season, winter. But in some parts, like UK, when you come, they can rain anytime. So you don't literally have those kind of seasons. Some places we have spring, summer, and then we have autumn, winter, something like that. Whatever the seasons. Say if you have 4 broad seasons. So like that, there are 4 broad cosmic seasons. And the present season is called the season of Kali. Now this is the season where those souls who in the previous ages, previous seasons of the universe could not pass through the filters of time and mercy are left behind. And there are two ways of looking at it. Sometimes the Lord is called as Tri-Yugi. Tri-Yugi means that he comes in the three yugas. Which three yugas does he come in? Do they know the name of the yugas? Yes? Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga. Yes, thank you. So he comes in those three yugas. And what about Kali Yuga? No. It's like sometimes you go to a particular locality and you get robbed. And then you go and complain to the police. I got robbed. What did the police say? Why did you go there? Even we don't go there. So Kali, in this vision of the Lord being called as Tri-Yugi, Kali Yuga is considered to be like that. That Kali Yuga is such a fallen age, the Lord says, even I don't go there. But that is a very legalistic understanding of God's arrangement. The idea is that people in this age are so godless, so materialistic, that if they don't want God, God says, I won't interfere with you. I won't come. That's one way of looking at it. But God is not just a law enforcer. God is a loving parent. And where the child is most lost, the parents will give the most time. If a parent has 3-4 children, then if one child, if some of the children, their life is going on reasonably well and one child is not doing so well, parents will actually pay more attention to the child whose life is not going on well. Because it's a matter of love, loving care. So from the legalistic understanding, the Lord doesn't descend in this world. But from the understanding of mercy, of Kripa, actually the Lord gives special mercy in this world. He does come. But He comes in a hidden form. And that hidden form is referred to in the scriptures, Channa Avatara. So Channa means hidden. In the 7th canto, in the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, Channa Kalavya Bhavam, he says that one who appears in Kali Yuga in a Channa manifestation. So what is hidden over here? In this particular age, in order to deliver someone, deliver people. See, in today's age, it is not that people don't just, most people are materialistic. That means they don't really care much for God. If at all they care for God, they care for Him as a facilitator and fulfiller of their desires. That is all. There's no interest in God as a person. Whereas if people turn to God, it is because nothing else is working in their life. So suppose a boy proposes to a girl, please marry me. And the girl asks, why? And the boy says, because no other girl in town is ready to marry me. Now, that is not the most flattering of proposals. How if even then the girl accepts this proposal? That means the girl really loves the boy and she wants to be with him. So for most people, God is like that. We try everything in the world. We try to gain wealth, we try to gain power, we try to gain fame, we try to get reputation. Nothing works, and let's try God also. So at that time we try God, but God is always waiting for us to turn towards Him. Udaraha sarva evaite. Udaraha. For whatever reason we turn towards Him, He's very happy. It's like, to take another example, if a child has become estranged from the parents, and the child gets into trouble. And then after many years, the child first time calls the parent. Now some parent may say, okay, now that only you're in trouble, you're remembering us. But most parents will say, if you are in such trouble, why did you wait for so long to call me? Why did it take you so long? So the Lord is like that. He's waiting for us to turn towards Him. But in order to facilitate that turning towards Him, the Lord chooses not to manifest Himself as the Lord. That is, that the Lord appears in Kali Yuga as a devotee. Rather than coming and telling us, you turn towards me. Krishna at the end of the Bhagavad Gita says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Forget everything and just surrender to me. The idea is that, yeah, you've been trying many things to deal with your issues. You turn towards me, you take my shelter, and I will guide you, I will empower you to deal with issues. So the idea is that appeal, if a child has turned away from the parents, and the parents will extend the hand to the child, that's the love of the parents. But in Kali Yuga, because people don't care for God, so God doesn't say, I won't care for you. Rather, the Lord cares even more.
So it's like, say, if we as souls are here, and God is here.
So Krishna, He gives the instruction, surrender to me. Surrender to me. Just, and I was in Chicago, I was giving a class. And after that, one person came to me, I was here previously, he was an American person, he said, that, I heard in the previous class I should surrender to God. He said that, why do I need to surrender to God? I didn't know that I was at war with God. So their idea is that surrender means two armies are fighting, and then one person just can't fight, can't win, and therefore surrender. So the white flag of surrender is like a reluctant, resentful acceptance of defeat. But that is not the mood of surrender. The surrender here in the Bhagavad Gita is a voluntary expression of love. When two people love each other, one of them may say, your wish is my command. So that means that out of love, I will do what you want me to do. So that is the kind of surrender the Lord is calling for. But in Kali Yuga, when people are not ready for that, who is God? Why should I worship God? Why do I care for God? So I was in Australia. I was a part of a interfaith, it was a conference come debate. The title of the debate was Why Has God Not Died Till Now? Now what does that mean? That means that around in the middle of the last century, actually about 150 years ago, there were several European thinkers, Friedrich Nietzsche and others, they said God is dead. What they meant by that was that as science advances, as people become more and more rational, they'll stop believing in things like God. And therefore God will die. And God will die, and then people will stop believing in God. Well, surprisingly, that has not happened. But to some extent, belief in God has decreased, but many parts of the world, God seems to have remarkable staying power. That India is still quite religious, most of the Middle East is religious. In the Western world, America is also among most religious countries. And not all religious expressions are very similar or very amiable. But the point is that there is this innate longing for some higher meaning in life. But people do not like a holier than thou attitude. I was in Texas, America, the southern part of America is called the Bible Belt, where there are a lot of evangelical Christians. They're quite aggressive in trying to force their belief on others. So I was going for a program and there was a car in front of me. On the car bumper, it was written, "Oh God, please save me from your preachers." So the idea is normally God saves us through His preachers. But if the preachers are taking a holier than thou attitude, they are taking attitude of superiority. We are pure, you are fallen, you are going to go to hell unless you turn to us. They take that attitude, they say, I don't want anything to do with such people. So there is this attitude that, oh God, religion and religious people, they act very superior, they put on airs. So this is the mentality of people in Kali Yuga. And there is some basis for that. So what the Lord does is, instead of being at this high position and he comes as God and he asks us to surrender. Instead, what the Lord does is,
we are here. We are here, and the Lord is here. But the Lord descends to be one among us, and He demonstrates how to practice bhakti.
So he doesn't say, I am God and surrender to me. He said, he acts as a devotee. So this is the Lord. He comes as a devotee, and that is Sri Chaitanya. So the Lord as a devotee demonstrates how we can practice bhakti, how we can surrender to Him. And that is why He is called the Channa Avatar. He does not desire that you, I am God, you surrender to me. He says, no, you surrender to the Lord, and this is how we surrender. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he taught especially how to practice bhakti through the process of Sankirtan. He is widely known as the dancing God. There again, going back to Friedrich Nietzsche, there was this European philosopher, he said that in some religious traditions, the idea of God is a very staid, very sober, very grave kind of person. God is like a person with a long beard, staying above the clouds and sending thunderbolts that cast the sinful into perpetual hell. The God is the idea of a judge, a supreme judge. So he had said that I would believe in God if he knew how to dance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, unfortunately, he didn't know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually delights in dancing. He delights in dancing, and the method of bhakti that he taught was very inclusive and exuberant. Bhakti is not just withdrawing from the world in the mood of prayer. It is engaging all our senses, engaging ourselves with all our faculties in the service of the Lord. So some people think dhyan means sitting down in samadhi, closing your eyes, becoming motionless. Most people, they try to become motionless, they also become senseless. They just go to sleep. It's not so easy. But bhakti involves, we can sing, we can clap, we can play musical instruments, we can dance. We can use our hands, we can use our legs, we can use our eyes to behold the Lord, we can use our ears to sing about the Lord. So the form of spirituality that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught is very accessible because it is a very sensory form of spirituality. Rather than saying we have to give up our senses because the senses put us in illusion, we get attracted to worldly things and get entangled. Use your senses to serve the Lord. So after this program we will have a feast. We'll have delicious prasad. Use our tongue for not just eating delicious food, but honoring the Lord's prasad. In this way, Sri Mahaprabhu, he descended to help us connect with Krishna, that divine descent to inspire the human ascent. Now the human ascent is very easy by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So I'll conclude with two quick explanations of his name which convey his mission.
So one of his names is Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So Sri
is often an epithet. Sri indicates the blessing, the goddess of fortune.
Sri means auspicious, fortunate, glorious. So Krishna Chaitanya. Chaitanya means consciousness. So this is a person, he has come to bless everyone
with the fortune of Krishna consciousness. Our happiness, to be more happy, we often improve the things outside us. We try to get a bigger car, a better house, a larger TV. We try to improve things outside us. That's okay, improving things outside us. But what determines our peace and happiness is not so many things outside us as the thoughts inside us. The state of our consciousness is the greatest predictor of our well-being and happiness. So Mahaprabhu's blessings are that which, Shri Krishna Chaitanya's blessings are by which our consciousness becomes enriched. Our consciousness becomes filled with uplifting thoughts, positive, purposeful, spiritually powerful thoughts. And thus, we find a source of joy within our own consciousness. That is the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Another name of his was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, Mahaprabhu. Prabhu means master. Maha means the great master. So that's the literal meaning. But Mahaprabhu has another more esoteric meaning. So, Prabhu means that the Lord is Krishna. And in love for Krishna, there is only one devotee who exhibits the highest devotion. That is the Mahabhava. So Mahabhava is exhibited by Sri Radha. Radharani is the consort of Krishna. And no one has as much devotion for Krishna as Sri Radha has. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna coming in the mood of Radharani. So he is the Supreme Prabhu experiencing and sharing the Supreme Bhava, the Mahabhava. So the Prabhu experiencing Mahabhava becomes Mahaprabhu. So he comes to give us the highest experience of divine love and divine joy. So on this sacred day, we can all pray for the blessings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that wherever we are in our life, whatever problems we have, whatever issues we are dealing with, may he enrich our consciousness with divine thoughts, with divine love, with divine emotions. And thus, we can find contentment within ourselves. And then we can share that contentment with others. And thereby, not only just we receive blessings, but we become a blessing for the world. That is the potency of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'll summarize. I spoke broadly 3 points. The first point was about the concept of avatar. That life in this world is tough, and the ultimate solution is we don't just try to make this life comfortable, but we also attain a reality which is joyful. And to attain that reality, there is the divine descent, which is meant to inspire the human ascent. God comes from the spiritual world to inspire us to raise our consciousness to the spiritual level. And that is the common purpose of all avatars, to establish dharma in the outer world and prema in the inner world. Bhakti, love for him in the inner world. The second part I talked about was that this is the age of Kali, where people often don't feel the need for God. And they especially disdain anyone who puts religion and God on a higher pedestal. So therefore, God comes not as God, but God comes as a devotee of God. He doesn't say, you surrender to me. He says, he demonstrates how to surrender. And thus, this is his humility, this is also his compassionate way of reaching those who may not be otherwise receptive. That's why he's the Channa avatar. He may not be so well known because he does not broadcast himself as God. Rather, he just comes to teach how to love God. And the last part I talked about is his special blessing is that when he descends, he inspires by his example, by his teachings, by his personal spiritual potency. He inspires us to develop that higher consciousness. He offers us he offers us enrichment within. Our thoughts become higher. We start experiencing higher happiness at Mahabhava. And in that, we experience the highest blessings and we can share those blessings with others. Thank you very much. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Shri Gaurapurnima Mahamahotsav ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Gaur